Okay, continuing on this series, we're going to take a look today at faces. Now, someone may look at this face and decide that it needs to be modified. Now, as you're probably aware from other things that I've said and other examples that I've done, this isn't something I agree with. There's a difference between something that was modified because of the um, camera and something that was modified because the photographer decided that the person should have a different look. So we have our two models here. We're going to take a look at that liquefy. Again, this isn't something that I do, so this is not going to look very clean. Liquefy basically would allow you to move the face and make it thinner. Now I got the pucker tool here. Let's see what it does for a nose. So let's say you thought her nose was too big. Same could apply for the mouth. You could use the bloat tool to make the eyes bigger. So there's a lot of things we could attempt, and while you can see that it's pulling the nose in, this looks something more like out of the Twilight Zone episode than it does an actual person. So we'll clear that and put it back to our original image. So instead of using the pucker tool, we'll use the regular tool to slide the face over. What we're doing is basically trying to modify or thin out the face. And as you can see, it's thinning it out. It's not thinning it out in a good way. Because like I said, this isn't a normal retouch that I do. There are tools to do this, but I don't use those for it either. Changing the shape of the face is just not something that appeals to me. Like I said, it's different if the camera modified the face. And if you take a look at some of the other videos I've got about lenses, certain lenses will cause a bowing of the face. And we could use the bloat tool, which is what I'm going to do here, and make the lips a little bigger. Again, it's a minor change, but it's still not something that I would do. I want the person to look at the picture afterwards and say, that's me. And like I said, certain things like a wide angle lens, which if you've ever seen those usually video footage from a surveillance camera, and it's got that curve to it, that's a wide angle lens. It's trying to capture in more than what you would get. So you can see that the change is basically useless. The change that I made to the coloration is better than the modification that was made to the lips or the face. Now I'll take a quick look here and see if there's anything that pops out that would be in the tool set here that we could do. There's some skin smoothing, smart portrait, some makeup transfer. Now the makeup transfer is an interesting one because it actually will allow you to transfer makeup from one person to another. Again, if the person didn't show up with it, or they've already made their selection as to what they want to look like, why am I going to disagree with them about that? I'm not a makeup artist. But we can see here by playing with the skin smoothing, we can get rid of wrinkles, lines under the eyes, things like that, which again makes sense if it's something that's not normal. For example, if the person didn't get enough sleep the night before, they might have some extra wrinkles here and there that we might want to work with. Again, as I've said in other videos, it's typically not something you would do to sharpen a woman's face. And we'll see later on with one of the male models what I mean about sharpening. But playing around with the Smart Portrait and trying to get things done. There's a de-aging slider in here. Just things that not what I would do. And you can see the modifications that are happening to her face as we go. And there's just not a lot of things in here that are available to play with that I'd want to use. And then again, there's that makeup transfer where I could take another image and transfer the makeup over. You've got style transfers. There's all kinds of things you can do in here. The photo one's basically just to enhance or bring back a damaged photograph, and it tries to do it for you. But again, you can see the changes. Skin smoothing, maybe in certain instances, as I said, but other than that, there's very little point to it. So we'll take a look at what happens if it pulls up the subject. There was a masking for the face, but for some reason it doesn't seem to be doing exactly what I want, and I can see there's certain areas of the subject that it just did not capture well. So we'll put that aside. And nope, there doesn't seem to be anything else over here that we would go look at that deals with the face. But there is an area here that I would modify, and that's this strap area. It looks like a red spot that got there. And it's something that I would get rid of. Now, as you can see, as I'm getting rid of it, it's not going completely away. Now, if it's not her, you'd probably want to get rid of it completely, just some red mark. But as you can see, she has spots that are her. Bring it in here, you can see there's a spot on her face, and there's a spot down here. Now, what I would typically do is just make it a little less noticeable. I don't want to get rid of it completely. It's part of her. It's part of who she is. But I want to not have it detract from the photograph. So I'll take it out just a bit. Now, we're going to do what's known as dodge and burn, because her nose kind of disappears into her face. And she's got that one little line that I don't like underneath her eye. So this line here is something I probably would get rid of. Looking at her face, it's possible that it's a natural curve to the face, but one way you could take care of that is not by erasing it, but by using dodge and burn. So let me go grab the dodge and burn tool over here. And this is the area we're going to do right here. But now that I'm on this layer, I've got to go get the dodge and burn tool and get this set up. So all you'd have to do in this particular case is modify the image such that it has a little bit more light to it, and it goes away. Now the areas around her nose and under her lips and things that I want to enhance, dark pulls away. So we'll get the Cupid's bow here as well. And light will pull your, will look like it's closer to you. So we're just going to make a little modification here around her nose so that her nose gets the depth that it should have. You can also do the same thing with the eyes, which we'll take a look at in just a minute. So we'll go over here. Again, minor changes that I would make. The photograph flattens out the face. So the first thing we should do is make sure that we bring out the nose. I want to add a little bit around the eyes, and I can take out just a little bit of that puffiness around the eye just by lightening something up. So let's go take a look at what we have. And if I darken around the outside of the eye, not whitening the eye or doing anything else to it, I'm just adding a little bit of darkness around the eye. So we'll continue with that. Now we'll take a little bit of that puffiness out. We'll go down here to the Cupid's bow and take care of the eyes again. We'll do a little bit of the lips. And the goal here is just to make some subtle modifications to add a little bit more dimension to the eyes, get rid of that little bit of puffiness. Turn that back on. You can see the changes to the eye and the lips that we get. And of course, nobody would have their face this big. So we take that into consideration. As we go through. But at the same time, we just make subtle changes to bring a little bit more depth into the face. And that'll bring us to, as I was saying about men, typically men want to look more rugged, and so sharpening is a normal way of doing that. So we're going to sharpen the entire image. We can take things out later on. We're going to sharpen the whole image right now. And you can see one of the things it did was darken the image quite a bit. And that's probably more than we want. So let's go work on that. We can brighten it up a little bit. We can take the entire image out. Or we could remove the modifications off of the entire image. But let's start with doing a little bit of the exposure so that the image itself isn't as dark. I think we're probably going to end up just making a modification to the amount that we're getting from this. But as we change the exposure, it ends up being a little warmer than it was originally. So if we just take it out and we change the mask over so nothing's in there, we can then paint in where we want it. Which is what we're going to do. Let's do the tattoo. Now I've got it cranked up. Like I said, we're probably going to have to cut down on the amount of this, but let me paint over the tattoo here. Basically what I'm doing is allowing it to, allowing that enhanced sharpness to handle or to touch that area. And you can see that's what we've got. Well, we need to back it off so it doesn't look quite so out of place. It's a little better. But again, it's something I like to do on tattoos because we spend the time and the money to get tattoos. They should look their best. But for people that don't have tattoos, we're thinking about like the hair, making it sharper, especially stubble on a man's face to make that a little sharper. In this case, we can probably do his entire face. He's clean shaven. So we need to get this done on here, and we'll just go over the entire face. And get it taken care of. And we've sharpened the face, but we did not sharpen the clothing or anything else in the picture. Do a little before and after here, and you can see it's just a little bit sharper. Again, something that would be done on a man, but not on a woman. Now, there are other tools that we could use for different things. Next week, we'll take a look at the tools, some of the stuff that I won't use in their settings, and some of the things that are very helpful in the settings that they have for the different tools. So I hope you found this useful tonight, and I will talk to you guys next week. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you then.